Fellow Falcoholics, what is up? Welcome to the Falcoholic Lives Week 1 post-game show, Falcons vs. Panthers. The Falcons have done it. They snapped their season opening losing streak. They snapped their perennial losing record streak. They have won their Week 1 game against the Panthers by a fairly lopsided score of 24-10. It didn't really feel like that through much of the game. It was really ugly in the first half. The second half, slightly less ugly, but the defense really did just sort of come together. They started to really shut down the Panthers, who you could tell started to feel the pressure once the Falcons got a little bit of a lead. So excited to see that. Obviously, I'm Kevin Knight at Falcoholic Kevin. I am joined, of course, by my co-host for these post-game shows, Alan Strk. He is at Alan Strk on Twitter. Alan, how we doing?
I'm kind of thrilled, kind of like, wow, that was kind of underwhelming, but nevertheless, we've been waiting 6 years for this. The Falcons have a winning record. Bijan Robinson, oh my goodness, what a man. And hey, I feel like we were the biggest proponents of the Jessie Bates signing. So today overall is a good day.
Well, hey, yeah. we were the biggest proponents of the Bijan Robinson drafting too.
Hey, we'll take that too.
And those are easily the two best players on the field today.
Yeah, Algier needs his flowers too, because that man was
Tyler Algier.
The run game, like the two running backs, which we tried to tell you guys, they weren't just going to shelf Tyler Algier. But probably fantasy managers are a little bit frustrated with how the carries were distributed. But look, Algier's good, so they're going to get him on the field. So, yeah. Adnan, welcome as well. He's at Say Which Way. Guys, welcome in to the first post-game show. Before we take off here, do want to bring you a message from our sponsor today, betonline.ag, your number one source for all your sports wagering info. Football is back with all the up-to-minute stats, news, scores, and matchup breakdowns. You can get the latest game odds, spreads, and totals from the NFL and college football at your fingertips with BetOnline's real-time updates on statistics, news, and odds. From Week 1 all the way to the college football playoff and Super Bowl, BetOnline gives you access to the best football promotions and contests available anywhere online. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to get in on the action. And remember to use our promo code BELIEVE. That's BLEAV to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online where the game starts. And hey, I would not necessarily recommend the Falcons passing props from now on. Probably lay off the Falcons passing game props for the foreseeable future. But hey, we'll check in on how my prize picks did a little bit later in the show. But if you had taken my advice there, you would have won that. Well, I mean, assuming that Dak Prescott throws for more than a half yard tonight, you would have cashed that as well. So we'll check on that a little bit later in the show. For now, let's get to the Falcons takes. Yeah, Alan, inaugural post-game show. Happy to have you here for this series this year. Let's start with you. Biggest takeaway from this game. Put you on the spot. Go.
Things might be rugged, but I think the biggest appreciation you got out of this game is that at least the Falcons, for all their issues maybe in the trenches, particularly Caleb McGarry, they did wear down Carolina, and we saw them really impose their will both offensively and defensively. Big credit to Ryan Nielsen. I love some of the blitzes at the end of the game. You wanted to see Troy Anderson utilize that, just all the tangibles he has. Because I don't think he just has the speed. I think he has a legit athlete, and you saw him multiple times create those sacks and how they were utilizing, whether it was blitzing through the A-gap or using him on twist to the outside. So overall, at least they wore him down. I know his Carolina team is rebuilding and their receiving corps is atrocious, but I just like the fact that the Falcons, after really struggling the first half, playing some just nasty football, second half they really imposed their will and they broke them down. And it's not always going to be pretty this season. I think it's pretty apparent, but at least they have good components where they're going to wear teams out and get the wins, however necessary it may be.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, they do want to grind teams down, and they did that successfully in this. The running game never really took over, but they did have the big plays on the ground, and that sort of kept things going. But they were opportunistic. They took advantage of a lot of mistakes by Carolina. Those aren't always going to be there. Like, those are not always going to come. Obviously, Jessie Bates, I don't want to steal Adnan's thunder if he was going to go that direction. But, the Falcons, look, they got the turnovers they needed to win this game, and they succeeded in doing enough. I mean, it was a 14-point win, which I think is bigger than any win they had last year, maybe. So it's a double-digit win, so technically. But Adnan, I'll go to you next with this one. What's your biggest takeaway from this game?
My biggest takeaway is at least one game in, they're exactly who we thought they were. Like, regarding the way that this team is built, the way that this team operates, what we saw out of them, I feel like it's exactly what, we all and the fan base predicted it was going to be like, most of the fan base. One, Bijan Robinson is otherworldly. Like when Bijan Robinson is out there, every time he had the ball, like some of those plays, it looks like he was moving at a different speed than the other guys out there, than the defenders out there. Like, and that's insane for a rookie playing his first game. Like that first touchdown that he had, like there was he had no business scoring that touchdown. He caught the ball behind the line of scrimmage, immediately should have gotten hit for a tackle for a loss, and he puts down one of the most insane cuts that I've ever seen. Gets by the defender, into the end zone, touchdown, makes something out of literally nothing. Makes something out of what should have been negative play. Jessie Bates is legit. Like what we knew that coming in. Well, there's a reason why we spent all that money on him. And I mean, I think Jessie Bates won the game today with his interceptions. Like that first pick set up a short field, set up a Falcons touchdown, and then the second pick, it's when you really needed it to really stop Carolina's momentum and to really flip the game on its head a little bit. The team won off of its run game. The team won off of its amazing defense. The defense had gave up 10 points and pretty much set up 17 because 3 of the scores, 17 points, came off turnovers. They dropped Miles Sanders for a fumble, which was a great play. It was recovered by Lorenzo Carter.
Forced by Jessie Bates, I add.
Shout out. Troy Anderson got a very opportune sack on 3rd down and long, to stop a Carolina drive. The passing offense fucking sucked, and I'm talking about that like overall. The offensive line was awful in pass protection. Desmond Ridder didn't look good, even when he wasn't being chased down. But they did just enough to not lose the game. So that there were no turnovers on offense, and it was one of those where the passing offense didn't help the team much at all. There were a couple of really nice plays toward the end to set up that last touchdown, which, I mean, the passes weren't great, but they were amazing plays by Matt Collins and Kyle Pitts. But other than that, at the very least, you can say that there were no turnovers on offense. This team was propelled. It was willed to victory by the defense, by the amazing running backs. Shout out to Tyler Algier, two touchdowns. That first touchdown was absolutely just him being relentless, not wanting to go down. And, against better teams, you need more from the passing attack. You definitely need a lot more. It was just very fortunate that Carolina isn't a very good team. But I mean, I said it before the show started. Beggars can't be choosers. This is Atlanta's first season opener win since 2017. This is the first time the Falcons have been above 500 in 2,079 days. And I go back to Christmas Eve in 2017 because that's when the Falcons beat the Panthers to go to 10-6 in the regular season. Since then, because the day after that, records get scrapped for the playoffs, the Falcons have not been above 500 at any point in over 2,000 days. And it just feels really good to get that monkey off your back. And there was some good stuff, there was some bad stuff, but the bad stuff is a lot easier to swallow when you come out of it with a win.
Yeah, and that's the key takeaway is it was ugly as hell. Nobody's discounting that. I mean, the offensive performance was way off of what we were expecting and what you guys should be expecting from the quarterback, from the pass protection. I mean, from the pass catchers. I mean, Pitts got robbed of that 25-yard catch that was nice earlier in the game. He was really the only pass catcher other than Mac Hollins, wide receiver 1 Mac Hollins. Put some respect on that man's name, but really the only guy other than Mac Hollins that was able to get open. Drake London was just completely vanished in this one. But I mean, and we talked about it. A lot of it has to do with the pass protection, particularly in the first half where it was just, I mean, abysmal. Caleb McGarry wasn't even touching Brian Burns half the time. I mean, that is completely unacceptable for a guy that you just paid over $10 million a year to be that egregiously bad against anyone. I mean, I don't care how good you are. So McGarry definitely is going to need to step that up. That is completely unacceptable. But let's keep it positive first. And I think one of the big takeaways is the play of the defense, holding Carolina to just 10 points. That's great. That's one of the lowest point totals they have allowed in the last several years. And it wasn't like fluky either. Like, I think they legitimately played them well. I mean, I think that first drive was really that first drive and then the touchdown drive were really the two drives where they sort of struggled. But I mean, even the best defenses are going to give up points sometimes. And I think that that fourth down stop was sort of the turning point. They really started to turn it on after that. And then obviously the man of the hour is Jessie Bates with his 2 interceptions, a forced fumble. I think he led the team in tackles as well. I mean, Jessie Bates was just everywhere. A man possessed, honestly, just playing his ass off. So biggest possible shout out to Jessie Bates there. Before we dive into more of the positives, I actually want to read George Costanza's comments real quick. George with the $2 says, I think we need to incorporate more screen passes into the offense. Yeah, George. I mean, I think those are the only passes that were working. So, we might have to add more of those. And then George,
is that Dirk Cutter?
Yeah. Is that Dirk Cutter out there? I can't see it. But he also adds, Ritter didn't play well, but that throw with 5 minutes left to Pitts definitely won us the game. I'm not a big believer in him, but he made the throw he had to. Let's pound the rock and bomb it deep. Can he consistently drop that bomb? We will see. Also, Jessie Bates is a monster. And yeah, I mean, Ritter did not have a good game. He wasn't set up to have a good game, certainly by the situation, and I don't really think the play calling did him a lot of favors either, but certainly not a sharp game overall from Ritter, who just looked a little frazzled. And I mean, I don't necessarily blame him when I think his time to throw was like under 2 seconds for the entire first half because of how quick the pressure was getting there. But certainly you hope for a little bit more out of your starting quarterback. And I don't know, my biggest demerit goes to Caleb McGarry, but we're supposed to be keeping it positive in this segment. So, Alan, I'll go back to you. What's a big positive takeaway for you? It doesn't have to be about the offense or the defense, but go ahead.
Positive.
Yeah.
I don't know. Should we talk more about Bijan Robinson? Like, man, just that touchdown. I don't know how many players in this league could do that. Like Von Bell, I don't think he should be in this division. Like, he came in this division and he got on the worst side. I think Frankie Louvu as well. It's just going against this Falcons offense. Of course, you got Arthur Smith, who I know he's going to come under a lot of scrutiny for the play calling, but I thought, particularly in the third quarter, the way he was switching up the run plays was really nicely done. You saw Robinson get like a clean cutback lane. Algier bounced outside, so he was doing. I definitely want to watch the film and see how he put it together. But you just saw them mixing up really nicely, and that's a danger playing this Falcons team. It's just, man, your fronts get wore down, but then your secondary better be ready to make tackles open field. And it just seemed like the Panthers, they struggled to tackle as well as the defense played at times. It's just, and I think with Algier, I want to mention this, not just the power aspect of the game, but he seems more agile. There was a play, I think, in the first quarter, probably the only good thing in the first quarter from the offense is when he made one in the corner, maybe it was J.C. Horn miss, and it was a nice cutback. He didn't have to use his strength or no stiff arm. So Algier looks lighter, but he's still running violent. That his first touchdown, just remarkable balance. And it just seems like anytime there's a negative play with him, he turns into a positive because the O-line, I think Bergeron had his moments, and Drew Dahlman, I think in the run game did well. But for the most part, I just felt, wow, they were getting a lot of yards after contact. And it's just special. And look, if either of these guys need a break. Cordell Patterson will be back soon enough. Joker is coming. So, as ugly as the passing game was, I'm ready for this running game to take over. Of course, it's not ideal given they have London and Pitts, but look, this run game is here, and defenses better beware because even if you feel like you're containing them for 2-3 quarters, this offense is so good. Robinson will get a 20-yarder, Algier will break open free, and next thing you know, they're going to be in the red zone, and this team is built to thrive in the red zone. So that's probably the biggest takeaway I could get from this offense. It's just they know their identity, and it's going to be hard to stop.
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, they did a great job in the red zone today. I believe 2 for 2 in their opportunity, 3 for 3 in their opportunities in the red zone. So, yeah, I think it's 3 for 3. 20. Yeah, all their touchdowns came from within the red zone, and they scored on all 3 trips. So that's great. I mean, that's what Arthur Smith's known for is getting that, getting down to the red zone, getting punching it in when you can, and that was absolutely key because if the Falcons settle for field goals on those drives, it's a much different story at the end of the game where the Falcons are only up by 9 and the Panthers are probably playing a lot harder to try to close the gap. But when you have that 14-point lead, it sort of just eliminated Carolina's will. Like they were like, well, we're down 2 touchdowns, not really much we can do here. And it was nice to see that. And then, we didn't really see, I guess, the run game like take over in the second half like I thought that they could. But it would be nice, I think, if we could get that in the future. But hey, we'll take it. And Tyler Algier, again, like you said, very good at refusing to lose yardage. I mean, that man pretty much always gets at least 1 yard. And, Bijan getting his feet wet, I think his role will continue to grow. I wouldn't be too concerned if I was a Falcons fan about his usage. I mean, you look at his usage compared to like Jahmyr Gibbs, who seemed like he was like a bit player in the Lions offense in week 1. And I wouldn't be concerned at all about that. But Adnan, I'll go to you next on this. What's sort of a positive takeaway you have from this?
Well, I will say that, 3 for 3 in the red zone was absolutely fantastic. Like that's exactly what you want out of that red zone offense. And pretty much every time they were pounding the rock, it felt like whenever they got inside the 10. And I think it's a really good sign that Carolina, who has a pretty good defense, I think Carolina is going to be a bad football team this year, but I don't think that they have a bad defense. Like, I think they'll be bad because they don't have a wide receiving core. Their offensive line is a question mark. Miles Sanders isn't that good. Bryce Young is a rookie, but that's all on the offense. But defensively, they're a solid team, and Carolina knew that Atlanta was going to run the ball, and Atlanta still kept running the ball at will and getting yardage at will. And technically, it was a touchdown pass to Tyler Algier on the first play, but it was one of the flip pass plays where the quarterback just like flips it to the running back. I honestly think that play needs to be changed to an actual running play, but that's a greater NFL issue as a whole. The other thing that I do think we would be remiss to not mention if we didn't is Younghoe Koo made all of his kicks. He's someone who in that Dolphins game, missed a couple of extra points, and there was a little bit of nervousness, some slight panic. 3 for 3 on his extra point tries. Nailed a 49-yard field goal. So definitely shout out to the special teams for Atlanta. They downed Carolina at the 1 on a punt during a blatant horse collar, but it worked out in Atlanta's favor because Carolina also had a penalty on the same play. So the ball was just down where it was, and the horse collar ended up only costing Atlanta about
that
a
was
half
weird.
yard.
Yeah, that was weird.
So that was very weird, but that pretty much destroyed a Carolina drive before it could even begin.
Yeah.
So
great play, Hesse. Great play. Yeah.
Make
the tackle. Make the tackle.
I'm just gonna say that Parker Hesse knew what was going on, and he knew that he could horse collar there.
200 IQ special teams play by Parker.
No repercussions. So
yes,
I do want to give a shout out to the special teams as a whole today.
No, I agree. I think the special teams deserves big props. I think Pinion, outside of that first punt, that was pretty bad. The rest of the punts were definitely on point. Lots of hang time, plenty of time for the coverage to get down there, and the coverage, I think, made the plays they needed to. And yeah, I mean, if Hesse, that was almost like a safety. That was really close to being a safety. I mean, Amir Smith-Marset, that was incredibly foolish, but I mean, I would have done it too. If you think you have a chance at a safety, get him down. And if you get the 15-yard penalty, they're still at the 15. They're still inside the 20. Who cares? See if you can get the safety. So I don't have a problem at all with him going for that. Obviously, try to get your hands on the back instead of the horse collar. Nobody wants to really see that, but I don't blame him for going for it. I mean, that was almost elite special teams play. So definitely not upset. It was. Play, right? It still is. It still is. Yeah. Yeah. It's not maybe if he gets him in for the safety, that's number 1 special teams play of the season type material. But yeah, good stuff there by Parker Hesse, who seems like his stay on the practice squad is purely some kind of roster juggling nonsense because John Fitzpatrick made an active in favor of Parker Hesse, John Fitzpatrick is the one who's on the roster, so it's just very bizarre behavior there, but whatever. Arthur Smith loves his tight ends. We all know that. So, yeah, I think ultimately positives, you guys mentioned Bijan, however you want to say it. Bijan said it's okay either way, but yeah, I like what you obviously like what you see from the two running backs. You need the consistency to be there for the offensive line but I think this Panthers defense, last year I think they were 12th overall against the run or 10th. So a good run defense that was fully healthy. The Falcons didn't really face the Panthers when that defense was fully healthy last year. Unfortunately, J.C. Horn leaves the game with a hamstring injury. Hopefully he's okay. But you'd like to see the Falcons more consistently dominate up front. Really, the passing game, but didn't see much. You love the Kyle Pitts catch. You love that Ritter put it in a place where Pitts could catch it. We barely saw that at all with Marcus Mariota, and it was a gutsy throw, but it was complete. And we didn't see that at all from Mariota last year. He just airmailed the shit out of it, or it was not close. There was no chance for the receiver to make a play. What do you know? You get the ball in Pitts' vicinity, and the unicorn comes down with a great catch, and also simultaneously cashed his more than projection and prize picks for me. So great job, Ritter, and great job, Kyle Pitts, on that one. But yeah, it was an ugly day for the passing offense, but ultimately when the dust clears, they got a 14-point win. So it's like the score, I think everyone's kind of got the first half blazed and burned into their minds because it was hella ugly. Then the second half comes along, and like the offense doesn't do a whole lot, but they didn't make crushing mistakes, that's what cost Carolina this game more than anything. Was they came in and they made crushing mistakes after mistakes after mistakes, and they crumbled in the second half. Whereas the Falcons offense, they didn't like do great, but they got it together enough, and they cashed in when they got in the red zone. That and if the defense is really like good, which maybe it could be. This defense really shut down Carolina's offense. It was not always beautiful, but they made the plays when they needed to. They got the turnovers. They got the pressure late that was not there early to really shut this game down. And I don't remember the last time I saw that. I saw a Falcons defense run out the clock and just dominate in the second half. Didn't allow a single point, I believe, in the second half. And then, we see Atlanta just sort of stifle Carolina completely, where like it wasn't even a sweaty finish. Who could have guessed, by the way the first half went, that the Falcons would come away with a 14-point victory? I certainly can't believe it, but
there's no PJ Walker or DJ Moore in this one.
Yeah, there's no magic happening in this one for the Panthers. And, if Panthers fans are watching, I thought Bryce Young handled it well. He looked like a rookie, but he looked like a good rookie. I don't think his play was egregiously bad, but definitely those picks, welcome to the NFL.
He essentially just threw it to base. I don't know what he was seeing there, but I thought his poise and decision make was largely good. I think they're doing him a disservice. Look, I know they're rebuilding. I don't want to be too critical of Carolina, but there's no way you could go into the season looking at that receiving corpse and feel confident.
Yeah, no, it's
Adam Thielen's been on the decline for almost 2 years now. You can't really bank on DJ Chark. And you have Terrence Marshall and Chenault. Like, these guys haven't really progressed. Maybe Mingo will become something, but there's just no way you could look at that supporting cast and be like, all right, I think we have the infrastructure here. I know Frank Reich has worked magic with some pretty average Colts teams in the past, but still, I think they could have done more to bolster that offense for him, to at least have more to throw to, because Falcons secondary dominated. I wasn't too surprised by it, even without Okudah. Just like this Carolina team, they don't have guys that could separate it. So,
no. Trey Flowers looked good. Yeah. So
yeah.
That's a sign, That's a sign that your receivers have problems. That's a tight end specialist out there covering your receivers. So that's never a good sign.
And I thought Troy Anderson had moments of coverage. It was where I thought Anderson and Ellis kind of at times didn't play with the best gap discipline when it came to the run game, but in coverage they were flying to the ball, and eventually they got going pass rushing wise. So, that was encouraging there. I don't know how much takeaways you can make for the defense, just because I think Carolina's offense is very much a work in progress, but at least you see the secondary. Okay, they could hold their own against bad opposition. They could pretty much control the game. But I'm alarmed by the pass rush, though. I was largely just wondering what is going on. Like, I know Ryan Nielsen likes his big guys and he wants to overpower people, but at some point you need an edge rusher that could do a swim move or, put together some sort of move. Like the fact that Ikic barely played didn't make much sense to me. And I don't know how Albert Huggins got all these snaps.
I don't think Ikic is really in their good graces. I mean, we saw him out there in the fourth quarter of those preseason games playing against the 2s and 3s. And I mean, he didn't really look that good against the 2s and the 3s overall. So with Arnold Ikic, we may have to sort of pump the brakes a little bit with him at this point, at the very least, based on what we see. So, I mean, I know he was a second-round rookie. We were all very excited. He had some flashes last year, but whether it's him not doing it in practice or what, he's not really in the good graces of Ryan Nielsen right now, and that may be justified because he didn't really look good in the preseason at all.
It's true. Yeah, he didn't really make. I mean, he did. I think that first game made a lot of plays.
He had one play against the Dolphins where he got the strip sack late in the fourth quarter. But outside of that, it was what he didn't like. He was out there a lot, but we never really called his name.
Yes. Also, this fun stat, Mike Conti from 92.9 put this out there. Through all the games completed so far in Week 1, Desmond Ridder has the highest passer rating at 111.8. So. So through all the 1 o'clock games, Desmond Ridder finished with the highest passer rating, I think.
A very Alex Smith-esque performance.
Yes, elite efficiency right there for Desmond Ridder. No, I mean, it was not pretty, but you can get high grades there when you don't make mistakes. Like if you don't throw any picks and throw some touchdowns, it doesn't care how many yards you have. The stat doesn't really look at that at all. So
it's a very flawed stat.
It is. It's extremely flawed. It tells you whether you had an efficient, mistake-free day, but that's it. It does not tell you.
There were no mistakes. There was technically a touchdown pass, but I mean that's not a touchdown pass. Well, I mean it on the stat sheet it is, but it's like, come on.
Bijan gets like 99% of the credit. That's for sure.
No, I was talking about the Oh no, I also I made a mistake earlier. I think that the Algier touchdown did actually go down as a rushing touchdown, the first one. So Algier had 2 rushing.
Yeah, because I think that was a pitch.
Because that pass to Bijan, I'm sorry, we could have made that throw. It was just here, Bijan, go.
Bijan,
score.
Make magic happen, please. Yeah, I mean we're gonna need a lot of that this year. No doubt about that. But they got it done, and that's great. So, I mean, no complaints for me there. I mean, I'm glad you got it done. Let me get another comment here from George Costanza. Okay, we got a bad joke, first of all. Here we go. Prepare yourselves. Everybody steal yourselves.
Yeah, joke. Come on, George.
Yeah, here we go. Bradley Pinion was pinion them deep in their territory. But tis. Yes, thank you, George, for making me read that. Adnan, he wants to know what your drink of choice was for the game. Also, Braves clinched the postseason, and Falcons going to the Super Bowl. Hype train is rolling down the tracks. Yes,
very good day, George. Shout out to the Braves, the best team in Atlanta right now, I think, by far. Shout out to the Falcons, but the Braves are the best team in baseball. This is one of the best baseball teams I've ever seen. I actually wasn't drinking anything during the game, but after the game, I pulled out my ginger ale just as one of those where I just through my sigh of relief, I just opened up a nice ginger ale.
The fizz echoed your exhale.
Yeah, and I'm just very calmly drinking it after what was a very nerve-wracking 2 touchdown victory.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you once again for that, George. And this is a good opportunity to plug some stuff, guys. Make sure to join our community Discord server. The link is in the show description. So definitely check that out. If you haven't checked it out yet, lots of game day chat live going on there. Fans are having a great time. Sometimes having a bad time the rest of the time, but at least you can do it together. If you're interested in asking a question like you've seen George do, you can do that. There's a link to that in the show description, streamlabs.com/thefalcoholic/tip. I believe, fingers crossed, that we will have that stuff set up to go through YouTube officially soon instead of going through Streamlabs. So it'll be easier for you guys to comment. It'll be easier for you guys to get flair on the channel and stuff like that, because if everything goes well, I don't know why it wouldn't, then we will get, I think, partner status with YouTube, and there'll be lots of cool new features for you guys to use on the channel that'll be a little bit easily more integrated into the process. So look forward to that. And yeah, make sure to like, subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. If you're listening to the podcast audio after the fact, leave us that 5-star review. Appreciate that, guys. Shout out to my co-host Alan Strk at Alan Strk on Twitter, and Adnan Ikic at Say Which Way as well. Give those guys a follow. All right. We got some positivity. It's been mixed with some negativity. I do want to ask, Adnan, I'll go to you first on this one. What's the most alarming thing you saw in this game? Like the most, doesn't necessarily have to be outright negative, but what's the thing that concerns you the most going forward?
The pass blocking was always a question coming into this season. The offensive line was very good last year overall. It came into the year ranked, I think, 7th by PFF. I think last year was a top 5 O-line according to PFF. But that's because the Falcons really catered to what they do well, which is run blocking. The Falcons ran the ball 55% of the time. They were one of 2 teams to run the ball more than they passed it. And that's something that, a lot of years doesn't happen with any team. Like almost every team passes the ball more than they run the ball. And some teams, some years, everyone does so. I know the Falcons are going to run the ball a lot. And they probably will, once again, have more runs than passes. I am nervous because the pass blocking isn't very good, and Desmond Ridder doesn't look very good. And the next step for the Falcons, we have cleared that hurdle of winning a game. There's expectations on this team. You don't get to invest that much money in free agency. You don't get this many high-profile draft picks. You don't get to take a win-now player in Bijan Robinson in the top 10 of the draft and, expect to go into a year where, where you don't have expectations for the playoffs at the very least, maybe even a division title. Regimes, many regimes, the vast majority of regimes do not get 3 years of a grace period. This is year 3 for Arthur Smith and Terry Fontenot. And, if the Falcons aren't in the playoffs, I'm not saying that they're getting fired, but I am saying that they may be on a bit of a hot seat next year. Actually, I'm saying that they're going to be on a legitimate hot seat next year. Mm-hmm. The issue is you can beat bad teams the way that you played today. You can beat bad teams. You can force them into mistakes. You can take advantage of their unforced errors the way the Falcons did with the Panthers today. You cannot beat legitimate teams. You cannot beat good teams that are also in that, that have those playoff aspirations that are competing with you in the playoffs by throwing the ball like this. Like there are some teams that have been able to, but those teams, like in NFL history, but those teams have also had the best defenses ever in NFL history. Like, as much as I like this defense is not the 2000 Ravens.
No, we're not there yet. Everybody calm down if you think that. Let's relax.
Yeah, like this defense isn't the Legion of Boom Seahawks. Like it's a good defense, and it's great compared to what we have been used to the past few years. But the passing offense as a whole, I'm actually more worried about it coming out of week 1 than I was going into week 1, and I was one of the main critics of it. I was one of the main guys in Falcons media all training camp, all preseason saying, hey, passing offense is a question mark. Hey, we're not really connecting on anything downfield. There's nothing happening deep. And, lo and behold, today, I think I can count on one hand how many passes beyond the line of scrimmage were completed, like how many throws were completed beyond the line of scrimmage. That's not going to cut it most weeks. It does cut it this week, and, we're very positive and we're very happy about that. But, man, this is going to be an issue. This is going to be an issue moving forward. And the other thing I want to say is, can I please take my victory lap for, the preseason conversation? Because this team looked like absolute shit in the first half. They looked absolutely rusty. And, all preseason, a lot of people are telling me, it doesn't matter that the starters aren't playing at all in the preseason. Like, it's okay that they're not playing at all in the preseason. Like, they came out in week 1 and looked like that. Like, the offense looked terrible in the first half, and it almost cost us the game. Like, it would have cost us the game if not for Jessie Bates' heroics. So, I mean, please, can we start, actually playing our our young guys? Can we start playing our starters in the preseason in future years? This 2 out of 3 years, Arthur Smith has opted against it. 2 out of 3 years, the offense came out looking like absolute shit in week 1. The one time when they didn't was when, they got legitimate preseason snaps last year against the Saints. So, I mean, that's something that I do think Arthur Smith deserves some criticism over, but it's something that he got away with because of what the defense did.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong, but you also look over at the Steelers 49ers game. Kenny Pickett played the most, I think, of any first-string quarterback in the preseason. They scored 7 points and they're shit. Yeah.
I don't like that
The 49ers defense, that's apples to oranges for me. The 49ers defense is a top 5 defense in the NFL. Like, the Panthers aren't them.
Yeah, but they are. People were all hyped up on the Steelers. Oh, look how they crushed everyone in the preseason. They played so much, and that offense looked completely disjointed. Now, a lot of that does have to do with the 49ers, but like, I'm just saying, like, the preseason, the preseason doesn't tell you anything, right? Like, because the Panthers' offensive line was awful in the preseason too, and then they played well.
Sure,
so.
But the thing is, like, I want my young quarterback to get reps in the preseason.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Desmond Ridder had 4 career starts and 2 career touchdown passes, and they went out and they're like, all right, here's 1 drive. All right, you don't have to play anymore in the preseason. Like, there's a reason why Patrick Mahomes is playing the preseason, and there's a reason why Patrick Mahomes comes out and absolutely slings that shit from week 1 on. Like, Mahomes looked great again on Thursday. And I mean, that loss wasn't his fault, but that's another conversation.
Yeah, it's another conversation. Yeah, but I don't know how much it matters, but you're right. The Falcons did not look sharp. So, I mean, maybe that's why. Maybe the Panthers had a great game plan. I mean, maybe it's all those things rolled together. But, and we'll see. Hopefully they get it cleaned up because we can't have this. But they did look rusty. I mean, there's no discounting that. Like, the Falcons offense did not look ready. The pass protection in particular looked abysmal. Caleb McGarry, like, my God, man, I don't, was this his worst ever game? Like, I'm pretty sure it was.
He's had some bad games. He's had some really bad games.
2019, 2020.
I don't know, man.
Caleb McGarry was absolute crap, bro.
Yeah. I mean, it was up there. It was up there. But
it was up there, but man, like Caleb, like, now if you were asking about like a guy like Lindstrom or, maybe Matthews, who like have had a consistent career, but Caleb McGarry has only had 1 good year in his career so far. Yeah,
I mean, well, I would say like 21 was okay, 22 was good, but yeah, you're right. Like, good years, just 1, but. I mean, that's why they got him to take the discount. They were betting on him having a better year, but they didn't necessarily pay. Like, you look at like Jawan Taylor and how he was getting destroyed, and he's getting like almost he's getting over 20, right? So,
it is something that is you have to give them credit because they didn't succumb to the pressure of our offensive linemen may we're gonna have a hole in offensive line. Like, they never for a second considered franchise tagging him, even though that was an option, because they knew he wasn't worth that much money. And, they pretty much called his bluff. And I'm pretty sure every other NFL team, who has a lot more access, than we do, and, it's obvious to us, they saw that Caleb McGarry is, for use of a better term, a run blocking merchant. Like, he's someone that goes out there and he made his money run blocking. He has never really been good at pass blocking, and other teams saw that, and that's why he took so much less money than his contemporaries this offseason.
Yeah.
He's always been limited.
He has.
Short arms, slow feet. Like, I always thought he could be a better guard, but that's obviously never going to happen. So,
yeah, it's tough with the height because he is super tall, and that really makes it tough for guys moving inside. Not impossible. We've seen some guys do it well, but he's got to get that cleaned up. I mean, we'll hopefully chalk it up to rust and that these guys didn't get a lot of opportunity to play together in the preseason, like Adnan mentioned. But yeah, I mean, Alan, what are you most concerned about leaving this one?
Oh, just quickly on the pass protection. I'm just curious how much it was just Strk on the right side compared to the left side, because it seemed like Derek Braun and Brian Burns was doing the most damage. But of course, watch the film. We'll see how the left side fared. But from what I saw, and look, that Thursday night game last year, as awesome as Lynch was last year, Derek Brown took it to him last year. So
Derek Brown's a dog. Like Derek Brown,
Oh, yeah.
there's a reason
Oh,
why
yeah.
Derek Brown was a top 10 pick. And I mean, this is one of those things. Like the Panthers they have a good defensive line. Like
Brian Burns played out of his mind. That was
Burns
insane.
needs some money today.
Yeah.
Like Brian Burns needs to take Caleb McGarry out for a dinner or something.
Yeah,
3 first-round picks. We had 2.
Yeah, we're up. The price is going up. Yeah.
Yeah. But my biggest frustration by far, it's really mostly on Arthur Smith's third down play call. The Falcons were 2 for 10 on third down, and a good majority of it was just through whether it was screens or runs on 3rd and 5, 6. Like I just wanted to see more from Ritter. I know they don't have much of a drop back passing game right now, but it seemed like they were just so fixated on running shotgun or using pistol. Like I didn't see much play action. I just didn't see much variation for the passing. I don't know if spacing was an issue either, but everything just seemed so narrow and condensed. It was hard to watch. And you also have to take into account that Bijan Robinson touchdown was on 3rd down. So when you think about it, it really could have been 1 for 11 on 3rd down because it took an extraordinary play. The other 3rd down conversion, I can't recall. So just the 3rd down play call I thought was abysmal. Look, I don't know how much you want to take. Some of it could be coach speak, but they were really like confident with Ritter. They're like, okay, we can put him in this offense. And look, I know the pass protection was sketchy, but they've run a lot of max protect, a lot of heavy sets. You could run 22 or 12 or just have someone chip. I know Bijan Robinson pass protection needs some work. There was one play he got completely manhandled, but hey, it's a work in progress there. But there's ways you could set protections to give your quarterback time to throw the ball, and I think it was just disappointing that didn't happen. Not a lot of play action. It just for all they invested with London and Pitts, it's just you need to do more.
London had 0 catches today.
Yeah, he dropped the one that he got. Yeah.
He got a bad drop.
He got one target, and it was a drop.
Yeah,
and that's his fault, 100%. Yeah. I mean, Pitts and London, they cannot combine for 2 catches like total. Yeah. And I mean, like I'm not saying that this is their fault. Like it is London's fault for the drop, but I mean, it's like there were no opportunities for them to get anything out there.
Yeah. No, I mean you're absolutely
right. It's 10 third downs. It wasn't like this team was just rolling them over on the ground. Like you had opportunities where you had to convert 3rd and 5, 3rd and 10, and it just never happened. And Ritter definitely looked skittish. There was one pass to Pitts that could have got picked off. I even thought he tried hitting Matt Collins on out. Like took Matt Collins extraordinary effort just to catch that pass.
Yeah, the 3rd and 10, it was like way behind Matt Collins.
Oh, that was a 3rd down.
Yeah,
okay, so that was on the 3rd down.
It was 3rd and 10, and that's one of those plays where it's going to go down on the stat sheet. And again, the flawed stats that we were talking about. Yep. It goes down on the stat sheet as a crucial 3rd down. That was a bad pass.
Oh, it was not a great pass. That's for sure.
That was Matt Collins just like.
Third down. Wow. So you think about
Collins making his money, like proving why we brought him in here.
Yeah. So think about this. So they were 2 of 10 on 3rd down, and it required Matt Collins to make an extraordinary catch and Bijan Robinson to do something that 99.9 elite can't do. So that's really alarming of how bad the Falcons were on 3rd down. Yeah, and I do think play call was the issue.
And Alan, I'm gonna confirm it here. I think it may have been 2nd down.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna confirm it with you in just a second. But
the Robinson touchdown was for sure on 3rd down.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, we're all about the facts here, and it was 2nd and 9. So we're all about the facts. So I don't want to mislead you. It was not 3rd down.
Fair enough. But nevertheless, they still only had one other conversion.
Your point still stands. Your point more than stands. It's just semantics.
Yeah. Like the 3rd down play calling is what really infuriated me the most. I just thought they could have done more. Yes, I know Brian Burns was wrecking things. Derek Brown, that sack on what was like the end of the first half. But those were great moments for Panthers defense. But you got to have more confidence. Considering everything you invest in the passing game. And I thought he called such a safe game.
Yeah.
And
it limited they never like got out of it. It's like, okay, the offense, like the original offense didn't work. Like they were getting demolished up front, and it just didn't really change. Like that was the biggest issue I saw. Was like okay, like they're gonna blitz linebackers. Like where's the hot route? Like let's get some hot routes for. Like why? What are we doing? Like why are like you don't have to max protect every time. Like if they're gonna blitz the hell out of you, get some hot routes. Like, I don't know what Smith's issue is with getting some quick outlets for the blitz. And like part of it's Desmond Ritter's decision making too. Like if he hits, Tyler Algier quicker on some of those screens, like he might have a chance to make a play, but like with his delay, getting it to him like a second later, by the time Algier gets the ball, the defender's already streaking in and it's just an easy tackle for loss. So I just, Ritter's got to tighten it up. He's got to get quicker with the decision making, particularly in those hot read situations. But like the play calling's got to be better too. I mean, I think when Ritter actually had a pocket and dropped back, it wasn't. I thought it was fine. Like, I mean, they didn't. There weren't a lot of opportunities like that. But I think for the most, I mean, that Mac Hollins throw was behind him. But like,
he hit Pitts one time out. That was just quick 10 yards.
Yeah,
all right,
yeah.
But we'll take that.
Right, and then like the 25-yarder to Pitts was a nice throw, right in stride. Pitts picked up 25 on it, and then it gets called back to an illegal shift. And it's like. Oh. It was sloppy. It was sloppy all around. I'm not. You shouldn't take anything away from week one, really. Now, if they'd lost this game, I would have been like, bring out the pitchforks. So, like, take my opinion with a grain of salt there. But week one is wonky. I mean, look around the league at the scores in week one. It's never a good idea to overestimate week one in any way. Like, look at the Bengals. They got almost blanked by the Browns. Joe Burrow was like the worst quarterback in the NFL today.
Cardinals almost won today.
Yeah, the Cardinals even looked good. So it's like
Baker Mayfield won a game.
But yeah, so I mean, it's a weird week. It always is. It's kind of an extended preseason for a lot of these teams. So I wouldn't get too wrapped up in the nitty gritty of this game. But you look at the main things, and it's the offense has to be better. Like, yes, they cashed in the red zone. That is something that hopefully will be a staple of this offense. But like, did they put together I think they put together one actual drive all game. I think that was literally, they put together one drive.
Late third quarter. And I think that was, Bijan had a 21-yard run. Algier had some moments, but it was purely off the running game. Like, I can't recall that late third quarter when they went up 70-10. I can't recall. Maybe the Pitts quick out, but besides that, it was all ground and pound. Yeah. So it's just, you got to get more consistent. You got to find a way to wake up the passing game, especially when you have all these weapons. Like, I don't know what happened to Drake London. I mean, I said going in, I thought the Panthers would dedicate all of their attention to London. I mean,
JT Horn got hurt. Like, you can't even blame JT Horn coverage on that because they were not. And I think that they made mention of it on the broadcast. I think it's C.J. Henderson who's the backup, and C.J. Henderson, is kind of garbage, and they were not targeting him at all.
Yeah,
like they weren't testing him, and the reason why they weren't testing him, they cannot throw the ball downfield, and you can't do that. You can get away with that in 1983. You can't get away with that in 2023. And my issue is that, I mean, one, it's clear that Arthur Smith doesn't really trust Desmond Ridder to do so. And I mean, I can see why he doesn't, because, we have eyes. We saw what happened throughout all of training camp. We kept talking about it. I kept being told that I was nitpicking because I kept mentioning that, hey, Desmond Ridder isn't really throwing the ball downfield. It's 7-on-7s. There's no pressure on him, and he just is not throwing the ball downfield. He just refuses to throw the ball downfield. Every single pass is 5 to 10 yards, dink and dunk. And it's like, this is why I kept mentioning that for moments like this, because there is no light switch that's going to turn on. And it's like, all right, he can throw the ball downfield. Like, he hasn't done it at all camp, but he's going to be perfect doing so now. I mean, Arthur Smith doesn't trust. You can tell by the play calling, like, he does not trust him out there. It's 3rd and 10. And they're throwing screen passes over. I don't know why Carolina even got, surprised by some of those screen passes. Like, it became obvious that that's what they were going to do. My biggest fear is that Arthur Smith is, doing that offensive coordinator thing, that offensive-minded coach bullshit of, I am smarter than everyone else. I am, my scheme and my football knowledge is much higher than everyone else's. So, even someone who is, more so physically challenged when it comes to arm strength and when it comes to deep pass accuracy like Desmond Ridder, it doesn't matter. I'm going to be able to make him successful. And the thing is, like, we see it all the time when these offensive-minded coaches always think that they're smarter than everyone else, and they tend to galaxy brain it. And my fear, and I'm not saying that this is true, but I have a hunch, is that he galaxy brained the entire quarterback position. And I'm just worried, because if that's the case, if that's true, none of this matters. Like, none of those signings matter. Like Bijan Robinson, like this team has a severe cap, a severe ceiling without a good passing attack. And that's just the reality of today's NFL. Very, very few teams can overcome that. And the ones that can overcome that, like I said, they're the ones with incredibly historic defenses. They're the ones with, Von Miller wreaking havoc out there, like the Broncos 10 years ago. They're the ones with, Ray Lewis and Ed Reed in the lineup. Like, I love Jessie Bates. He's not Ed Reed. I'm sorry. Like, Troy Anderson isn't Ray Lewis. But, hopefully I'm wrong here. But that's just something that's just an observation.
Yeah, that ceiling is first playoff game in Atlanta in how many years? But you're probably going to play Dallas or Philadelphia and get a big reality check. I think that's the ceiling. If
Philadelphia is going to dog walk this team as it currently is right now.
Yeah, but Philadelphia is probably going to dog walk 75% of the NFL. So like,
I think Dallas would too. But
yeah, so we'll have to. I mean, it's got to evolve. It's got to evolve. Yeah. Like we can't play like this going forward and expect to win games. But look, if this is what we can get from the defense, where we can actually have the defense force some turnovers and keep the score tight, I mean, they could win games like that. I think Adnan brings up a good point. Like, what does that get you in the playoffs? I mean, it kind of gets you like you're just desperately hoping to keep the score low and win a tight game. And like, they deserve a lot of credit for this. This is their first game as a unit under a new defensive coordinator. They come out there, they hold the Panthers to 10 points, under 130 yards passing. They did allow 154 yards on the ground, which is bad, but they only allowed 10 points. So it's like they allowed the rushing yards, but it didn't really translate into anything for Carolina. So you sort of let them run the ball if they're going to be down 14 points. But, a lot of that did end up coming late too. I think they had several big runs like later in the game when they were already down multiple scores. So maybe the Falcons were trying to dare them to run the ball essentially. But again, you can't allow 154 yards rushing every week. That's not going to fly. But the passing game has to get better. Ritter has to get sharper and quicker mostly. I think overall, like, it wasn't a lack of poise thing. I think he's just a tick slow, with the reading the field and the letting it rip. And hopefully you consider this that preseason warm up that they didn't get, and they're humming a little bit more going forward. But they're going to have to find that, because this is not, you're not going to win. You're going to barely get above 500 if this is the way this team's going to look, where you're playing good defense, but you're just entirely predicated on the run game carrying you every single week. Sooner or later, you're going to come against teams that can stop the run, and then it's not going to work so well. So they have to be able to pass the ball. Sooner or later, they're going to have to figure it out. Can Ritter be that guy? It's too early to tell. It wasn't great this week, but at least he didn't throw a pick. So it could be worse. Ritter also moves to 3-0 at home, so home legend. Let's see if we can keep the streak going next week.
Wow, that's a hell of a stat right there.
Yeah.
By the way, Kevin, I'm surprised you haven't mentioned this, and we definitely should give him a shout. But you are wearing his jersey. The fourth down stop, incredible penetration by Gray. That's just vintage Gray Jarrett, just exploding off the line of scrimmage, going right between the center and the right guard. So I think he was the main reason why they got that fourth down stop. Maybe Bud Dupree was in there as well, but once again, Gray Jarrett. A little quiet game by his standards from at least a pass rushing aspect, but run stuffing, man. That was a huge moment. Yeah,
I mean, I thought they did pretty well in the short yardage situations. Like they sort of shut it down. They kept Carolina from getting out and getting downfield. They allowed some big runs, especially like early in drives, but they tightened up when it mattered. And for a defense again with a new scheme with a lot of new faces out there, to hold your opponent to 10 points in the first week of the season, that's a good sign. Like it should get better. Like this is a unit that should improve as they continue to gel. And Jessie Bates to God, can't say enough nice things about Jessie Bates. But hey, if we can get 3 turnovers every week, we're going to roll in those W's. So that's probably not going to happen every week. So we're going to need the offense to do a little bit more going forward.
Can I ask both of you guys a question? Because obviously both of you are in camp, you're providing tremendous insight, and you watch preseason. Because for listeners, I was in Croatia for most of preseason. The only game I got to see was Pittsburgh because, of course, the only game I saw was only Pittsburgh, and that was a disaster. But you guys obviously watched all preseason. Were you surprised that Albert Huggins and Zach Harrison got so many snaps? Because I did not see that coming. That might be me being naive.
They really like Albert Huggins. Like, he had a really strong camp, and he had a good preseason too. And I will say, like, I'm not too shocked that Albert Huggins is out there because he did well enough to beat out Timmy Horn. He's the reason why Timmy Horn isn't on this 53-man roster right now. And Timmy Horn's a guy that also had a good preseason, that also had a good camp, and who had a good season last year. So I'm not really that shocked at Albert Huggins' involvement.
Yeah. No, I that was sort of what it looked like. I'm surprised that Huggins beat out Joe Gaziano, who I think outplayed him in the preseason and has a lot more experience and more versatility. And I don't think Huggins had a particularly good game, so I'm just kind of puzzled by that. But they clearly really like him. He does have history with Ryan Nielsen, so that's probably part of it too. But we'll see. I mean, I'm glad for him that he made it, and is gonna hopefully continue to improve. But I would probably prefer to see Joe Gaziano. But hey, season's still young. We'll see. Hopefully, we'll get the Gaz back out here soon.
Another thing I just want to mention is just they really exclusively play Calais Campbell on the edge, and I don't think that's an effective way to utilize him. I would like to see him get moved inside. If that means less Huggins.
Yeah, late in the game, he was on the inside. He signed to play edge. He wanted to play edge. So, I think he's more of a base down edge rusher and a passing down interior guy. We'll see how that evolves, but he did sign here because the Falcons said they wanted to use him on the edge, and he played the run really well as expected. The pass rush juice wasn't quite there, but until they get someone that's actually like better, I mean, he's kind of he's gonna bulldoze the tackle back. He might not get to the quarterback, but he's at least gonna cause issues for whoever he's up against. So it is what it is. We'll see how that ends up going. All right, we got a couple more donations. Thanks so much for everyone for donating. Really appreciate that, guys. George Costanza with the $2. The most alarming thing in this game is Caleb McGarry looking like Jalen Mayfield. I feel like this was a Scooby-Doo episode. The gang captures McGarry, pulls off the mask, saying, "Let's see who you really are. It's Mayfield." Man, Mayfield's not even on the roster, and he's still catching strays. That is brutal.
Man, let it go.
Yeah. But we got Corey with the $5 saying we got 2 sacks today, 2 sacks towards my 42 sack prediction. And also I'm bumping up to say 11 picks for us this year. Well, if they get 42 sacks and 11 picks, this is probably going to be a top 10 defense. So here's to hoping you're right about that one, Corey. Before we wrap up our game chat today, let me give you guys a quick update on my prize picks for this week. Let me check on that real quick. So, in case you guys forgot, Prize Picks is now a sponsor of the show. So shout out to Prize Picks for sponsoring us this year. Before I'll tell you guys a little bit more about what Prize Picks is. But first, I want to give you guys a check-in on my Prize Picks this week. So there was a free square, which is like a promotion where Dak Prescott more or less than half a passing yard. So obviously you take that, assuming Dak Prescott completes a pass tonight. That one's going to hit. So feeling good about that. But my other two prize picks were Kyle Pitts, more than 37.5 receiving yards. He hit that. Yep. So that was a little sweaty. That was a little sweaty. Yeah. But I was really mad when they called back that 25-yard one because that would have put him over too. But we nailed that one. And then the other one was Younghoe Koo, more than 6.5 fantasy points, which he did nail. He had a 49-yard field goal, which was obviously 4 points, and then 3 extra points to get 7 points exactly. That is more than 6.5. So we ride, and if you had done my prize picks, you would have won 5 times whatever your entry was. So thanks to Prize Pick once again for sponsoring this episode. If you're interested, guys, you can sign up using our promo code to get 100% deposit match up to $100 with code DBB for Dirty Birds and Brews. It's a skill-based daily fantasy game. You pick 2 to 6 players, decide if they will go more than less than their projection. The more players you pick, the more that you can win. If you go in on all 6, you can get up to 25 times your entry. And the cool thing is you're not competing against other people like other daily fantasy. It's just you versus the projections. And PrizePicks has a lot of generous promotions like the aforementioned Dak Prescott free square, like Taco Tuesday, Flex Friday, so keep your eyes open for those. It's not just NFL, though. If you like other sports, they do projections for all kinds of sports, NFL, NBA, MLB, anything you can think of, basically, and the entries can be made in 60 seconds or less, and they offer fast withdrawals. It's that easy. So yeah, if you're interested in signing up, guys, use our promo code DBB. You'll receive a 100% deposit match up to $100. And yeah, thanks again, PrizePicks, for sponsoring the show today. All right. So, guys, we have been live for almost an hour now. So let's give our final thoughts here. Alan, I'll go to you first. What's your as we wrap up, what do you want fans to sort of take away from this game as your final thought? Like, how are you sort of feeling going into week 2?
Work in progress, but the identity is there. I think, look, the running game, I think it got into, at times, peak 2022 form, and they're going to compete. I know it's kind of a bland thing to say, but I love the fact that they really wore down a Carolina team that's going to be feisty, that's going to play hard. So the fact that they wore down a team like this, and at least they have that foundation where it's like, okay, we can run the ball and break open 20-yard runs whenever possible. It's encouraging. So, but as we know, look, a lot of things to work on, a lot of progress to be made. But this team, they do know who they are. Now it's just a matter of executing better. But positive. I'll stay positive.
Yeah. I like the positivity. Like, they got the dub, they broke the streak. That has to be weighing on guys streak, mentally.
Like, they really had to break it. Salute to Brooks Reed, but I don't even remember the last home opener beat that Brooks Reed sacked Mike Glennon. Like, no. Now we can look back and say Jessie Bates had a stellar performance. Bijan Robinson justified everything that off-season hype. I know Kevin, by the way, it must have felt really good for you considering you're the one who posted the infamous video with Troy Anderson. You're just like, all right, I let you people know. I let the world know he's coming. And what do you know? What a touchdown.
Yeah, there you go. So it's hey, I'm excited. Look, they needed to break that streak. They needed to get the dub. They needed to get all that negative energy and all that frustration from the past 5 years out. It wasn't pretty, but look, what did I tweet before this game? I don't care how it gets done. You just need to win the GD game. So I'm going to stick to my word. I'm going to let this one slide in terms of the ugliness because they got the dub. It was a double-digit win. Like, it's probably the ugliest double-digit win you will ever see, but it is a double-digit win. They got it done, and look, I will be satisfied with that. We got to see more from the pass game. Caleb McGarry has to get his shit together. And look, a tough test next week, still at home against the Packers, but the difficulty ramps up there, right? Because the Packers have an even better defense than the Panthers do. So, it's not going to get any easier. And that's an opportunity for this team to show that they've improved against a tougher opponent. And, probably not going to be able to depend on the defense holding the Packers to just 10 next week. So that's sort of my thoughts. And then Adnan, I'll let you close this out. What's sort of your takeaway? What do you want the fans to take away from this post-game show?
The biggest thing, and this is something that transcends just this season, is just that massive psychological hurdle of you're finally above 500. It's not only that this team lost the last 5 home openers in a row, it's that this team has never been above 500 in over 2,000 days. Like, that's an insane streak. That's something that, sure, maybe, the Falcons of the 80s are used to, but that's something that, people who weren't unlucky enough to live through that era of Falcons football, like, legitimately haven't really even, been used to in the Matt Ryan era. Like, what we got used to that success. We got used to going to the playoffs at the very least nearly every year. But this was huge. Like, winning this game, going to 1-0, and I know it's only 1-0. I know it's only week 1, but holy shit, like, this team needed that. Like, this franchise needed that more than anything. This fan base needed that, because I guarantee you, had the Falcons lost this game, it would have been, here we go again. Like, it would have been, who cares about, like, all of the offseason hype, all of the preseason hype, the training camp hype. It would have been, it's the same old fucking Falcons.
Yep.
And it would have been justified.
It would have been justified. Absolutely. Yeah.
And I mean, I guarantee you, like, the Bens next week would have probably been more so Packers fans, or like damn near like close to 50-50 or 40-60 or whatever. But, this is a reason to have the city hyped. And, we have 7 days until the next game. For us personally and for the fan base, I say us, meaning the Falcons fan base, savor the fact that your football team is above 500 for the next 7 days. Like,
cherish
savor
it.
that.
Yep.
Like, enjoy it. Enjoy the fact that you are 1-0. Enjoy the fact that you're technically undefeated, and enjoy the fact that, if you win next week, you're going to be 2-0, and, all of a sudden it's going to start getting really fun if you're 2-0.
Yeah. And they got a chance here. Like, they're going to need to play a lot better next week against the Packers. I don't think they're going to make nearly as many mistakes as the Panthers did. But again, Packers also starting a relatively untested quarterback, maybe also having some wide receiver injury issues. We'll see the status of Jeff Okudah. We'll see the status of Cordarrelle Patterson for the Falcons. But it's an opportunity for Desmond Ridder to continue the legendary home streak. He's 3-0 now, so if he can get to 4-0, I think we're actually on to something like legit at that point. It's not going to be easier. It's going to be harder. So this passing game is going to have to get it together. The pass protection and the O-line are going to have to get it together to go up against what should be a better Packers defense and a better, more seasoned Packers offense as well. So the difficulty is going to get ratcheted up. You got this win. You got the good juju going. You broke the streaks. You got that winning record. Savor it. Cherish it, guys. But we got a lot of work to do. It's week 1. It was hella ugly. Let's hope that week 2 can be a little bit less hella ugly, but still get that dub. And obviously, we will have all the coverage. We got a new show coming for you guys that'll air on Tuesdays. It's going to be me and former defensive lineman Jordan Watkins, who's been on the show a bunch. We are going to be having a Tuesday show, which is, I think, going to be called Trench Talk. And it's going to be a trenches-focused show. So we'll have a lot to talk about on that one this week. That's for sure. That'll be coming out on Tuesday. We'll also, of course, have our Falcoholic Live show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. And then our game preview shows are up and running as well. Those will be with opposing teams, writers, podcasters, whoever I can corral to get on here. And those will be out on Fridays. And then, of course, we've got the post-game coverage for you guys coming. So lots of stuff to look forward to, lots to get to. It's just week 1. Savor the dub, and we'll hope we can keep this positive train rolling all the way into the playoffs this year. But might need it to be a little cleaner going forward, okay? Please, guys, please. But yeah, before we take off, want to thank our co-hosts today. First of all, Adnan Ikic at Say Which Way. Adnan, thank you once again for sticking around and giving us those takes. Anything you'd like to plug before we sign off today?
Yeah, I'm gonna re-up my yearly article series of looking at the Falcons fantasy stud and dud, looking at one fantasy standout performer and one fantasy player on the Falcons who disappointed. Spoiler alert, it's going to be Drake London today. And
I almost did the more projection for Drake London in that prize picks. It was 51.5. Yeah. I was like, that seems a little bit harder. Let's go for the
51.5. Well, that's going to stink.
That was high. Yeah.
Those projections are going to sink moving forward.
Make them even better. Yeah.
I got T. Higgins and Drake London, man. I don't want to even look at my team.
Yeah, it's going to be, you're going to get like 18.5 over under odds on Drake London, like moving forward.
Gotta go buy some bagels.
But yeah, so yeah, that's a series that, that I started years ago, and that I'm really excited to be doing that weekly for another season.
Yeah, absolutely. Check that out, guys. It's a fun series. It's more fun when the fantasy players do well, but unless you owned a Falcons running back, you're probably not super happy today. So yeah.
Now, even if you own Bijan Robinson, I'm sure you're kind of annoyed, honestly.
Yeah, I mean it's fine. It's his first start. You'll take it. What is it? What did he get? Like 12?
No, he definitely had more than 12.
Yeah, like if you get double digits in your first start ever, that you're fine. Like I know people were expecting like nuts numbers, but
you got around 20 today. Like
that's fine. What are you complaining about? Yeah. What are you complaining about then? Yeah.
No, they're going to complain about the opportunity cost. They're going to say he got 20. He should have gotten 32.
Oh, he got more than 20 points. Everybody needs to calm down. All right, like just relax.
How many receptions did he have? Do you know, Adnan?
I think he had 6. Yeah.
He had a
decent
touchdown.
6 catches.
Amount of
Yeah. Six
55
catches.
rushing yards.
Yeah,
PPR king.
He had 6 catches. He had 6
PPR
catches.
king. Yeah.
And PPR, he had 20. In Standard League, which is the superior scoring system, he had 14.
Yeah, I'll take that PPR dub for sure in our Falcoholic
What a
league.
great game, man. Look, man, I feel like this year covering the Falcons, we're going to be at war with so many fantasy nerds between Drake London.
It started last year.
Kyle Pitts.
Yep.
It started last year with Kyle Pitts. Like, people are
But that
like,
was a three people.
Smith.
Yeah, it's wild.
Someone's
But
gonna pick up Mac Hollins, and they're gonna get like a donut one week, and then get mad at Mac Hollins.
I'm not saying to pick up Mac Hollins unless you need like a desperate flex play, but he's probably going to get you like 5 to 6 points. So like if you need a desperate flex play, he's going to get you something, but don't recommend if you need more than that. But yeah, Alan Strk, guys, he's going to be with us every single week here on the Postgame Show. At Alan Strk is his handle on Twitter. Alan, anything you'd like to let the people know about before we sign off?
I'm probably gonna wrap up the running game at some point this week because I got a weird thing because like I've interviewed Tyler Algier multiple times. I got a good relationship with him, but like man, he was a standout in this game. So I feel like I got to wrap up the running game. And as long as things go well with NFL Plus, which is always a little bit of a precarious thing to work with, I will try to bring some form of the GIF review back. I promise people I'm going to try to do it more this year. So I might, if as long as things work out, you'll see some film stuff at some point this week.
Cool. Great stuff there. All right, guys. I'm Kevin Knight at Falcoholic Kevin. Like I said, make sure to like and subscribe on YouTube if you're watching. We really appreciate that. It really helps us out. Make sure to leave that 5-star review on your podcast platform of choice if you're listening there. Check out the Patreon, patreon.com/Falcoholic Live. Check out the community Discord server. The link is in the show description. Today's show was brought to you by betonline.ag and Prize Picks. If you go there, guys, use our promo code DBB if you do decide to check out Prize Picks, because that really helps us out. Lets them know that we're pushing the promo code, right? So if you're gonna do it, helps us out. Thank you for that. But we'll be back. We'll be back soon, guys. We'll be on our 4-show-a-week schedule going forward. So lots to look forward to. A week talking about a dub. Yeah,
they got you on that Aaron Freeman time right now.
They do. Yeah. Yeah, so we're crushing it out here.
Competition's good.
Yep. Yeah, it's iron sharpens iron. Yeah. Yep. But yeah, guys, thank you guys so much for enjoying this week 1 dub. We'll hope for a lot more this year as we go into week 2 against the Packers. Lots to look forward to. Hopefully, no more bad things will ever happen to this team. That's my hope, but we all know that's not gonna be the case. So best of luck. Enjoy your Victory Monday. Enjoy your week, guys. We'll see you on Tuesday for the next show. Until then.